Hello, and welcome to She Leads Biotech, the podcast that celebrates the achievements of women in the bioscience space. I'm your host, Sharon Cox, CEO and Managing Director of CNA International, a boutique search firm based in New York. Each week, I have the privilege of learning from incredible leaders as they share their stories. Together, we celebrate their triumphs, explore their challenges, and uncover their vision for the future of bioscience. Our conversations also provide invaluable insights into how women can unlock their unique superpowers and succeed on their own terms. So, whether you're just starting your journey in bioscience, contemplating your next career move, or simply passionate about science and innovation, this podcast is here to empower, inspire, and guide. Today's guest had, in her own words, a non-traditional career journey. Her passion for human sciences led to her pursuing a PhD in neuroscience at Northwestern University. Quite by accident, she then found herself on Wall Street. As one of the few analysts who gained experience working with early-stage biotech breakthroughs, as well as large commercial companies, she developed a unique understanding of what it takes to build a successful biotech business. To talk to me about her journey and her latest exciting adventure, please welcome co-founder and CEO of Roshon Therapeutics, Mani Mohindru. Mani, hi.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good.
And you're up in Westchester. We're practically neighbours, I believe, aren't we?
Yes, anywhere between Philadelphia to Boston, we're all neighbors. So yes, I'm right in between
Excellent.
Westchester County, or practically like New York City and the suburbs. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Long Island, so we're
Oh, we're even closer.
even
Yes.
closer than most other
Yes.
people. So, how was your holiday
It was
season?
great. It was nice to be connected with friends from college from many, many years ago with their families and seeing resemblances of kids and their parents. So, yes, it was very wonderful. Brief, short, but nice.
Excellent. And then
How
now
about you?
ready to get back into the
Yes, back into the
foray.
mode.
Yes.
Yes.
But mine's more difficult because my family are all in the UK. And I went to see them just before Thanksgiving. I needed to be back in the US for Thanksgiving. So then didn't get to go back again for Christmas. So it was very quiet, me and the cat. But it gave me an opportunity to do what I enjoy doing, and that's reflecting on 2024 and making plans for 2025 for both business and personal. Just gives me a good opportunity to do that. So I feel very ready for the
For the
new year,
next, yeah, new
ready for the
year.
next stage. So, well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me today. I know that you have a rather unorthodox journey in the bioscience space. Tell me about it. Talk to me about your journey.
Sure, I would love to. Yes, and I would start by saying that none of this was planned, but the only thing, the way the journey shaped out was I didn't shy away from new things that came along the way. I was open to taking risks and trying new things. So I trained as a scientist. I did my bachelor's and master's in India, my first year with the medical students. So was very connected, not just with the sciences, but specifically with human sciences and human body. Came to the US for a PhD, got it from Northwestern in neurosciences, and started my first gig as a consultant, working for a company that did consulting work for big pharma and small biotechs. And then somehow ended up on Wall Street through a connection from Northwestern, not knowing what Wall Street was and what a person with a science degree or PhD would do there. And probably that has been my best learning experience. I learned so much being in finance, looking at biotech industry from the outside, looking at what it takes to build biotechs, what it takes to look at early science and the risks people take, and also putting it in the context of larger commercial companies. I think I was one of the rare analysts who got to see not just the early stage biotech, but the commercial biotechs as well. And that has sort of shaped my thinking as a biotech executive now. So it's not just looking at drug development at its present, but also like putting it in the context of what the market is and where the unmet needs are. So I worked on Wall Street at UBS, Credit Suisse, and others, and then transitioned on to small biotechs, which is what I felt my passion was, to really look at some of the most innovative discoveries that are made in biotech and how drugs are developed in the public biotech companies in the C-suite. I worked at a couple of them. Interestingly, even as a CFO of a company, never in my wildest dreams would have I thought that I would be leading as a CFO of a company. But again, it opened my mind to so many different aspects of running a company. Very how do you take care of finances, what's needed, what's not, and how do you manage when times are tough, and how do you raise monies when there's plenty going around, and you don't say no when there's money sitting on the table.
Yep.
And after that, I really wanted to roll my sleeves up and start leading companies as CEO. And I got do that in the past few years. A couple of them very innovative again. Right now, I am more of an entrepreneur. I even co-founded Roshon Therapeutics with a bunch of founders much smarter than I am. But previously, worked for a venture-backed biotech where I completely built it from the ground up. We didn't even have targets that we wanted to make drugs to, and we were able to successfully identify good targets and make drug candidates to them. So yes, it's been an interesting but unusual journey where I've grown so much, so much. But I've really had the opportunity to learn not just science, but finance, business, building companies, and leading people. So it's been an amazing journey, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
And that's the thing, isn't it, with CEOs of businesses? It's about being the whole package of understanding that, because you're not an accountant, are you? So it's not that you
No.
have done the CFO route through, but I guess having an understanding of finance, and then also an understanding of business and the business that you're in, gives you that kind of all-round ability to add value to a company.
Yes, and interestingly, I would always tell my employees or partners or my executive team that I may not be an expert in everything, but I would be very difficult to fool. I knew enough about everything that people just couldn't put something in front of me and get away with it. So yes, it's and I think CEOs should be exposed to everything in some way, shape, or form, because it does require, at the end of the day, you are at the helm of everything and you are responsible for everything, So that's how I've taken the CEO role, that everything is under me and I need to know, be responsible and accountable for it.
And what were the challenges that you faced as a woman coming into the C-suite? I mean, first of all, coming into the industry and on Wall Street, I can imagine that that wasn't a skip through the park. What challenges have you found through your career, and what steps have you taken to meet them and overcome them?
Challenges, some of the challenges that I faced, I think everyone faces, as a CEO, managing people, recruiting the best talent. But having worked on Wall Street, I've had the pleasure of working with some of the most amazing people. There were certainly people who had a hard time imagining a woman of color, nonetheless, with an accent, doesn't have an American accent, has a foreign accent, sitting across the table and asking tough questions of companies and CEOs. But I didn't make myself very susceptible or sensitive to any of those issues. Uh, you just carry on. You take these challenges as they come along, and then you just focus on what's needed to get the job done. These things exist. The only thing I would say is my learning has been that I am sensitive to others who may be different from others, and make sure that every voice around the table is heard and everyone's given a fair chance to prove his or her talent. That's the only thing I would say. It's not been easy. But the other challenge I feel as I've grown businesses and led biotechs is finding the right talent. As much as people would like to believe that leaders and money are able to deliver, like, successful stories, I think teams are way more important. Ideas are cheap. It's the execution that makes a difference. We can sit in the boardrooms, have the most amazing ideas out there, but if you don't have the right team to execute those ideas with you, who are aligned and almost row the boat in the same direction, you're doomed to fail.
Yeah.
So that sort of has been the other challenge, really finding the right-minded people, the right motivation to take things forward with you.
I've found that, obviously, as a recruiter, which is what my day job is, that has been probably one of the biggest challenges that I've faced in talking to a C-suite executive that has one thought process in their head, and it's, I need this experience, I need somebody who's already received, who's done the ask for 20 million, for 100 million, who's got all the accolades, who's come from here. That's what I must have. And trying to explain that doesn't automatically equate success. It Whereas somebody that can demonstrate the abilities to do that, they may have not made $100 million ask, but they've certainly demonstrate the qualities to do so, and demonstrate more in terms of passion and all those things that aren't as quantifiable, but matter, that make a difference. What would your advice be to CEOs who are kind of thinking, I must have this, and sort of get them to be thinking about something else?
Yes, so I think one has to be really lucky if they have like this wish list of people with the right talents and they can get them. But the reality is there isn't one that exists, that can check all the boxes.
Yeah,
And from my own experience, I can say, in not my current company, which I'm still building, but the prior one, it was based in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is not known for like biotech sector.
right.
And it was very, very hard to recruit talent from outside. So we had to take the local talent, which was a lot of folks from the academia without prior biotech industry experience. And, of course, it was challenging while there were certain folks that weren't quite a fit for the industry. But we found some amazing people. And as you said, the two words you said, passion and hardworking people. I think there is no substitute for passion. You have to have the passion, not just to work in biotech, but in any industry, but more so in biotech, because there are more failures than successes.
Yep.
It's the passion that keeps bringing you back to work day in and day out when most of the things don't go your way. And you still don't know when you take it to the clinic, whether it's going to work, but you have to keep going for yourself, for the patients, and others. So passion and then hard work. You can overcome a lot of adversity if you're willing to put in hard work, work with the group, teamwork, which is again, which sort of separates corporations from academia. In academia, the brilliant minds work generally not as big groups, but alone in small silos.
Yep.
But when you step into something like a biotech or any other company, you have to leave the I behind and be a part of the we. And if you're able to do that, I think you succeed. And if you're not able to do that, then this just doesn't work for you. The corporations don't, and it's even more so in biotechs.
Yep.
So yeah, so it's been you can find that talent exists everywhere. You just have, some of them are polished diamonds, and some of them are, you just have to identify the right talent, and there's plenty out there, and you'll be amazed at how
Yep.
well you can succeed with these people.
And it's putting the right people in the right
Right
places.
places,
I mean,
yes.
I've had conversations with people who have wanted to move from academia into industry, and through talking to them and getting more inside, with them, I've really advised them to stay in academia because it's, as you say, with the difference between that I concept and the
Yes.
we, there are people that get it and see it, and that's almost one of the first things that they would say. I want to move from here to here because I want to add to a team. I've had some experience and I liked it and I want to move forward. And others that are really just, no, it's me and I do
Yeah.
this and I do that, and you just know that isn't going to translate well. So it's having those conversations with people to identify the core competencies of what would make somebody work
Yes.
out. And even though if they're a rough diamond with a little bit of buffering,
Yes.
if they've got the right
Absolutely.
right mindset, then you're kind of halfway there. Um, so while we're on that, I know that you're working on something at the moment. What can you tell me about Reslion?
Roshan. So
Roshon.
yes, so that's this is something myself along with a few other folks from actually academia, but who've sort of tasted some part of being a part of the company, came together, and we've started a company called Roshon Therapeutics. Actually, a lot of the work has been done in the lab of our co-founder, who has worked with CROs as well to generate novel monoclonal antibodies to focus initially on blood cancers, then solid tumors, and hopefully beyond in autoimmune diseases if things go the right way. The one thing I would say is we're doing a lot of first in class in this company. The target's novel. As far as we know, we're probably the only ones making antibodies to this target. It's a target on myeloid cells. There's been a lot of things happening on the lymphoid cell targets, such as anti-PD-1, which has transformed the way we treat cancer. Immuno-oncology has become so hot, or not so hot at this time. But we're trying to get to the immune system and blood cancers by looking at myeloid cells, which is a whole another system within the immune system, the whole other set of targets sitting there to be explored.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we're very excited. We think we have something unique. We have some initial data, and one thing that is unique, which sort of got me to getting along with these founders to start this company, is that these founders have both preclinical and clinical knowledge. So these are physician scientists predominantly. And having worked in the biotech industry now, and especially in the younger biotech, I do feel that, initially the biotech talent in preclinical stage companies is very focused on the non-clinical aspect. And a lot of the clinical experience is missing in the initial years of the company. So, you tend to do things which may or may not eventually translate into clinical benefit with these drugs. But having some of that know-how or the perspectives
Yep.
early on, I think is a huge plus. And that's why I'm very excited to be working with this team of physician scientists. And hopefully, we can take it to the next level.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think that's if you've got somebody that can already think three
Yes.
steps ahead of where you are or where you want to be, then you're prepared for what's to come, aren't you? So very exciting times.
Yes, I think the patient perspective is very important. I'm not a trained clinician, but I think I really have learned to value the patient perspective coming from someone who has touched a patient, felt, known what the side effects are, what's missing, and bringing it early on into drug development as early as possible. I think that's huge
Yep.
and still somewhat missing. Although the bigger companies do tend to have big teams, but the smaller ones have to pick and choose their talent, so sometimes it's missing.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm very excited to follow the progress of that and see how you get on. And I wish you every success with it. I'm sure it'll be like everything else you've done, be very successful. So,
This is a very mission driven, I think, approach we're taking. We did present some work in collaboration with our collaborators in Mount Sinai at the American Society of Hematology meeting that just happened. But we're all very mission driven, keeping the patients really at the heart of everything, and we really want to work with like-minded partners, investors, venture philanthropy to take our program forward to this novel target. And because we presented at ASH, I can tell you the target. It's S100A8A9. You probably wouldn't have heard it because there's no one drugging it with an antibody. So we do feel we're treading like a lot of the firsts here, but
oh,
backed with a lot of solid biology in the field.
excellent. Excellent. Well, as I say, I wish you every success
Thank you.
with that. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, because this is something that I've come across a lot while I've been doing the podcasts, which have been amazing for me from a learning perspective to really understand the work that women in the bioscience space do and what they bring to the party. And I've come across the CEO Biotech Sisterhood,
Mhm.
and I believe that you're a member of the sisterhood. What can you tell me about the group and what difference it makes for budding CEOs or even experienced CEOs? Are you ready to shape the future of advanced therapies? Facilitate's Advanced Therapies Week 2025 is the can't miss event of the year. Join us January 20th to 23rd in Dallas, Texas, where groundbreaking innovations meet industry leaders. This is your chance to connect with therapeutic developers, scientists, investors, and vendors, tackling challenges and driving progress. With cutting-edge panels, networking opportunities, and exclusive access to the latest advancements, you'll leave inspired and ahead of the curve. Don't wait. Secure your spot now at facilitate.com. PHACILITATE.com. And let's advance together.
So, one thing I can tell you is being a CEO is somewhat of a lonely job. You really can't talk about everything to everyone in the company or elsewhere. My last few years had been so focused in doing my job and giving it everything that I didn't even know what existed outside and what sources of information out existed for people like me, whether as a woman or as just any other CEO. And then I saw this thing coming up on my LinkedIn posts about Biotech Sisterhood. And I'm a late joiner, I would say. I joined sometime last year, but it is amazing to have these incredibly talented group of women who share things openly with this group in a confidential manner, of course, to enable each other to succeed. It's not competitive, it's really putting forward resources, whether it's like looking for the right CROs or placement agents or fundraising or introductions. It's all there. You can ask any question, and if they feel that a resource has helped them, they will bring it to the group. So it's been an incredible source of information for a lot of us. You don't have to be a young CEO. You could be a seasoned CEO and still looking for a new piece of information out
Yep.
there. And it's amazing to see this. I wish I would have known about them earlier. That's my only thing. But, better late than never. So I'm so glad to be part of this community of women that have come together, an incredibly talented group of women, from very seasoned executives to, first time CEOs, young CEOs as well.
Yeah. I mean, certainly for first time CEOs, I think it's an incredible resource to be speaking to the women who've come before them, so to speak, and even just from a slight mentorship
Yes.
perspective of this was a challenge, and having somebody who's I've been there, I've done that. Let's talk about that. So I think they're incredible, and I've had a couple of them on the previous podcasts,
Yeah.
and hope to be able to share stories with many more of them. So hopefully, if there's anybody listening from the CEO Sisterhood, give me a shout. I'd love to talk to you. So what's next for you? I mean, obviously you're busy with this, but you are also a busy mum with a family, and what does the future look like for you?
So, in addition to starting this company and fundraising at the moment, I sit on two public company boards. So, which I also think is a two-way street. Of course, I bring my experiences over the years to the board, but I also learn from others. Each board member brings a different set of experiences, know-hows, insights to the kind of problems or solutions that we're seeking. So it's great to be a part of that, and I'd love to continue doing that. I think more and more senior executives should be on boards to enrich their own sort of corporate journeys. Um, I have twin girls who are juniors in high school, so there's a lot of college prep going on
Oh,
as we're looking at different colleges, and we live in New York, which is a hyper competitive area. But it's great to see these two young women, getting ready to go out and explore the world. So these things are keeping me busy. There's and again, I try to make myself available to other young women CEOs for sure if they need my help. So I'm talking to one. Hopefully we'll have a more established relationship, just to keep not as a mentor but as an advisor, sounding board, and sometimes formally, sometimes informally, try to make sure that we really help each other out. And it doesn't have to be with women alone. I hope men feel equally encouraged to reach out to whoever they feel comfortable with.
yeah, I had that conversation recently with the head of Wyatt, the Women in Advanced Therapies, and they have a really cool mentorship program, and that was the same story. To encourage men, particularly as mentors, to come forward, and because we can still learn so much.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter what sex somebody is. I think it's more about what their approach to the business, and their approach to other people, and giving to other people of their time and their experience without massive egos involved. And I don't think that matters what sex it is of somebody. Their
No.
challenges all the way round, but they do so much in the term of supporting that.
I think there should be more and more people like talking, irrespective of whether you're a male or a female, because I feel men and women not it's not a generality, but we do look at things differently. We have a different perspective of finding solutions, solving problems, or providing insights. And that just gives you a different way, another dimension to look at the same issue, problem, opportunity, challenge, whatever you may call. So the more we talk to each other, men and women alike, as CEOs, which gets, as I said, more isolating, it will enrich everyone.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the society at large.
Yeah. It's just letting go of the egos, I think.
Yes, yes, and you know, uh, there is so much in learning from each other. If you have that kind of mindset, and just to be open minded, that whoever walks into the door brings a different perspective, which you may or may not agree with, but doesn't mean it's not a good perspective for some
And still
other.
valid.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's valid. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So, what's your advice as somebody who had that kind of unorthodox approach, found themselves in Wall Street, has been or is on boards, is CEO, leads companies? What would your advice be to somebody who's contemplating taking that journey, and is unsure of really, shouldn't I, what am I going to face? What could you say to them?
Yeah, so throughout my career, when I go and like talk to people or present, I do feel people are intrigued. Wow, how did she get there? And they would always come out and reach out to me and say, like, how did you get there? Did you get an MBA? How did you do this? I didn't even know if it was possible. But I will tell you that there are subtle differences between how men and women approach me. When younger men or scientists talk to me, they take more of positive reinforcement, and oh, I can do it. I can certainly do this. I think I have these X, Y, and Z qualities. But women tend to focus, I've seen, more on things that they don't have. You know,
Yeah,
um, so it's interesting to see that perspective. And the only thing I keep telling them is, you don't have to check every box. You don't have to focus on what you don't have, but focus on what you do have, and use that to go to whatever uncharted territory you may want to go to. I mean, for me, I keep telling people the only thing I feel I have is that kept me going, and going and rising up in the corporate ladder, is I am a risk taker. I didn't even know myself. I think the biggest risk I took was when I switched over to Wall Street without a formal finance training. And once I did that, I felt so much more confident. If I can do this, I can do anything. And you just have to be open. If you fail, it's all right, because you would have still learned a lot from those experiences. Sometimes what I hear from women is, they don't have the right support. I am very fortunate to have a very supporting husband, a partner, and even when my kids were younger as twins, I was flying all over, and I still do. And, I did have someone taking care of that. And I built an ecosystem around me, surrounded by my family and live-ins and whatever. And some people don't have that, and I get it. But still, based on whatever you have around you, still take that risk.
yeah.
Try to learn something new. um, just look at your strengths and say that you can do it, and just make that leap. There is nothing more exciting than learning new things, and you don't know what would work for you, and then more doors would open. One door closes, the next one opens. So just keep going.
Do you think it's inherently in women to see failing as failure, as opposed to it being just something failed, but this is what I learned from it, and so that this is how I got to pick myself up and do that next time? Do you see it as that women think it might be the end of it? Oh, I failed. That's it.
I think there is some element to it, including in myself. I don't take failure well. I
Yep.
shut myself in a room. It takes me a few days. You know, um, Now that I'm older and hopefully wiser, I tell myself, okay, I will have this mourning period. I'm not going to deprive myself of this mourning period. That is who I am. That is my chemistry. But at the end of that, I will pick up and get up and do it. So I can't change my very being. It is who we are, nature versus nurture. We
Yep.
are the nurturers. But so give yourself that latitude, be who you are, but then come out of it,
Yep.
and you can. So
Yep.
you don't have to change. You can still be yourself, but don't let that failure define you, because that's just one aspect, one tiny bit of an aspect of your entire life. Your life is so much more than losing that one job, or not succeeding in a particular aspect of your professional career. That doesn't define you at all.
Yeah, it's interesting because my dream as a kid growing up was to be a Broadway star and be best friends with Barbara Streisand, but she still hasn't answered my calls. And but I couldn't do the auditions for things because I couldn't take the rejection, and I couldn't take the fear of that I failed because I didn't get that part. And bizarrely then found myself in the world of recruitment, which is probably the most likely to get rejected at every stage. But and I do think age has a lot to do with it. As you
Yeah,
get older, you just go, oh, you know what? Okay,
yeah.
let's move on. But I agree with you. It is who we are, I think, and that's very natural. But it's how you handle the next step, and having that ability to pick yourself up and move forward.
The other thing I feel is people need to talk about their failures more, because when you see someone successful, all you see are the positives, all you see are successes. No one has any ideas of the kind of failures each one of us have gone through. So I think people need to be asking, when they have these like one-on-ones, like, what are some of the failures you've had, and how, because people need to talk about their failures more.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a physician, for one reason or the other, it didn't happen. And so many other things, so I think we need to talk about our failures as well, because when people look at the finished product, they just see only things
yeah.
that have worked well, and not the things in the background that has happened that have made you who you are. I mean, that's the other important thing.
Maybe celebrate our failures. Learn
Yes,
to celebrate the failure.
yes.
I've got a better failure than you have.
Yeah, maybe
Can you top this
we
failure?
should have these conversations, in small groups, and just talk about, some of the worst failures you've had and how you managed to come out of it. So that sort of makes others, especially the young people out there, and women particularly, to see, you're not alone. These
It's
things
okay.
happen to you. Yeah, it happens to everyone. You're just as normal, or your life is just as normal as anyone else's, and you can be anyone out there. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give that more thought, because I think there might be there might be a networking event that
Yes.
could be built
Built
around
on,
that.
yes,
So
here's an idea for you. Yeah.
I'm going to give that some thought. Well, listen, Mani, thank you so much. I'm very conscious of your time, and I really do appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me today. It's been fascinating following your journey. I wish you every success with Roshon, and whatever you do next. And I hope that we have the opportunity to meet. My plans for this year are very much to get out and about as much as possible, and meet people, particularly within the tri-state. Is it known as the
Yeah.
tri-state area, or
Yes.
wherever it is?
New Jersey,
New
Connecticut, New
Jersey,
York.
yep, and Philly, and even Boston.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm
Yes.
looking forward to. There's a couple of biotech conferences happening in Boston this year, so I'm looking forward to getting to Boston. So hopefully our paths will cross somewhere along the line, and we can share a coffee or a cocktail or
Yes.
something, and talk about failures and who got the best one and what we did about it.
Yeah, you would be surprised, you would be surprised when people start talking. I have talked about a couple to people, including like having failed the driver's license thing a few times here. So here you are, I've talked about one of my failures here,
There you
but
go.
no, and we have no excuse not to meet because we couldn't have been closer, Long Island, Westchester, so
Absolutely.
certainly. But no, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to 2025. We're talking on the 2nd of January, so this is brand new. I really feel 2025 is going to be, for us at Roshon, a great year, but hoping for the industry in general. We really hope the smaller biotechs
Yeah.
get what they want. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Well,
We have patients waiting.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so much more, isn't it? It's about
Yes.
people who are waiting for these
Yes.
treatments to come. Will you be at JP Morgan week?
I am debating. I always weigh the pros and cons of going there. I've been going there every single year, so I don't know yet. But
Don't
I do
forget your
know.
pink if you do.
Yes, I do have that already. I own the pink. So for the Biotech Sisterhood, by the way, pink color. Shout
Yep.
out to them. But we'll see. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, listen, whatever you do, enjoy it. The passion that you have for what you do oozes out through the screen here. So I wish you continued success. And as I say, I do hope our paths cross at some point in 2025, and we can actually talk in person.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, Sharon. Thank you.
Take care.
Pleasure talking to you. Yeah.
And to you. Bye-bye. That
Bye.
wraps up today's episode of She Leads Biotech. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and found inspiration in the stories shared. Remember, the success of every woman can inspire another, so don't hesitate to share yours. She Leads Biotech is brought to you by CNA International USA, a woman-owned boutique search firm specializing in sourcing talent for small and emerging bioscience companies across the US, from our headquarters in New York. For more information about our services, feel free to reach out at contact@cnaint.com. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and continue pioneering progress for women in bioscience.